You have not been delayed. You have not been rejected. You have simply been planting in silence. And under divine law, silence still speaks. Every moment you stay quiet in the presence of lack, you agree with it. Every time you withhold your word in the face of delay, you endorse it. You do not lack harvest because you are cursed. You lack harvest because you have forgotten how to sow. And I am here to tell you, your word is not a suggestion. It is the spiritual instruction that commands invisible substance into form. The average person believes they are waiting for God, for money, for timing, for the right mood or the right opportunity. But the law does not wait. It only works. And it works in exact obedience to the seed you speak. For your word is your wand, not your feelings, not your hope, not your effort, but your spoken decree. And whether you know it or not, you are already sowing every day. The only question is, are you sowing with law, or are you sowing by accident? I have seen this truth again and again. People pray for wealth and then declare limitation. They ask for abundance and then affirm shortage. They whisper affirmations once and then spend the rest of the day rehearsing fear. And the soil, obedient to command, obeys the rhythm of the loudest seed. Not the one with the most emotion, not the one that sounds poetic, but the one that is planted most frequently. That is the law. And that is why so many fail, not because they are lazy, but because they are careless. They do not understand that every idle word is a seed, and what is spoken with rhythm becomes rooted in reality. I once had a student who begged for breakthrough but could not stop describing her breakdown. She came to me after years of working hard, saving diligently, fasting, praying, writing affirmations on the wall, but still found herself trapped in cycles of lack. I asked her one simple question. What do you say when you are alone? What leaves your lips before the bill is opened, when the job is denied, when the delay appears? She paused, then answered with painful honesty. I say things like, here we go again, or I guess it's just not my time, or why does this always happen to me? And I told her with truth and love, then that is what you've planted. And the law does not mock, it returns the exact harvest of your word. You see, the law does not distinguish between a joke and a command. It does not filter sarcasm from sincerity. It only obeys vibration, frequency, and tone. And when your mouth agrees with delay, your life must reflect it. When your tone carries fear, your field must withhold. When your phrase affirms poverty, your gate must remain shut. The soil is not emotional, it is lawful. It does not care how bad you want the harvest. It only asks, what seed are you repeating? And so I say this to you plainly, your financial struggle is not personal. It is procedural. Your delay is not fate, it is misalignment. And no effort, no strategy, no fasting can override a tongue that contradicts its own desire. For even faith, if not spoken rightly, becomes unstable. The Bible says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And what is double-mindedness if not this? To say, I am abundant at sunrise, and I can't afford that by noon? Prosperity is not given to the worthy, it is yielded to the aligned. It is not granted through sacrifice, it is activated through consistency. You do not manifest by force, you manifest by frequency. The universe does not pay attention to your intensity, it pays attention to your instruction. And every word you speak is an instruction, either to accelerate your good or to delay it. You are not trying to convince the universe, you are commanding the field. And the field, like any lawful servant, obeys without question. The soil does not debate you. It does not evaluate your situation. It does not consider your intentions. It mirrors your instruction. If your word says money is hard to come by, the ground says, so be it. If your word says it always slips through my hands, the harvest says, as you wish. And if your word says, my supply is invisible, constant, and multiplying, the law says, then bring forth the increase. You must become a master of your own mouth. You must stop speaking as a victim of your condition and start speaking as the authority over it. You must shift your vocabulary from description to creation. Most people talk about what is, but the spiritually trained speak of what shall be, and they do not say it once. They say it again and again and again, until the vibration of their word overtakes the momentum of their past. That is spiritual dominion. And that is how the law responds, not to emotion, but to repetition. I say to you now, stop trying to feel wealthy and start planting as one who already is. Your words are not decorations, they are orders. You do not speak to decorate your day, you speak to design it. And design requires rhythm. Design requires repetition. Design requires clarity. When the Creator made the world, He did not speak once and wait. He spoke continually, rhythmically, with law. Let there be, and there was. That is not metaphor, that is mechanics. You are not an exception. You are a participant in the same divine system. You plant the word, you water with faith, and you reap by alignment. So let us begin, not by analyzing the field, but by mastering the seed. You may think your life is hard ground, but I tell you, the ground is obedient. The issue is not the soil, it is the seed, and your seed is your word. Every phrase you whisper when no one is listening becomes the root of your result. Every sigh, every frustrated statement, every habitual phrase you've carried from childhood. These are not accidents. These are roots, and roots bear fruit. You cannot sow defeat and expect victory. You cannot plant fear and expect provision. You cannot speak contradiction and expect clarity. You must become single-minded. You must become exact in speech. You must repeat your truth like a holy liturgy. For repetition is rhythm, and rhythm is royalty. Heaven does not respond to occasional declarations. Heaven responds to rhythmic instruction. If you speak once and doubt 20 times, the law obeys the 20. If you declare one affirmation and cancel it with 20 complaints, the soil honors the rhythm, not the intensity. And that is why the truly spiritual do not speak emotionally, they speak strategically. They know that the moment they say, I am wealthy, they have released a decree. And their job is not to watch the field, but to hold the word. For the field mirrors the word, and if the word is held long enough, the field must obey. This is where most fail. They speak once and wait. They declare once and panic. They plant and then dig up the seed to see if it's growing. And in doing so, they violate the law. For faith is not only trust in outcome, it is fidelity to the process. You do not sow and check. You sow and walk. You do not beg the ground. You instruct it. And the ground, under divine law, has no will of its own. It must obey the decree. So if you feel delayed, ask yourself this: what seed am I repeating? What phrases live in my mouth without resistance? What thoughts have become so familiar I no longer recognize them as weeds? And what stories have I carried that no longer serve the truth of my divine inheritance? For you are not trying to earn wealth. You are replanting the garden. You are not waiting for supply. You are cleaning the soil. You are not begging for a blessing. You are aligning with a principle. You were born under a spiritual contract. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And you, as his vessel, are meant to speak like the owner's heir, not a stranger, not a seeker, but a steward. And a steward commands, a steward instructs, a steward does not explain or justify, a steward decrees and expects. The time for casual language is over. The time for vague affirmations is past. This is the hour for decree, rhythm, and replanting. And you will not need to shout. You will only need to repeat. For the law responds not to volume, but to vibration. And vibration is built through rhythm. Let me make this clear. Your wealth is not waiting for the economy, for the government, or for your job to change. It is waiting for your rhythm to shift. It is waiting for your decree to be consistent. It is waiting for your soil to hear one word, spoken enough times, with enough authority to override every contradiction you've ever spoken before. This is not poetry, this is protocol. And the protocol is law. The seed is the word, the soil is the subconscious, the harvest is the reflection, and all three are under your jurisdiction if you speak as the law, not to the law. And so we begin. I once received a letter from a woman who told me that despite her love for spiritual law, her consistent prayers, and her daily affirmations, she remained in a state of financial distress. She said, "Florence, I have tried everything. I tithe, I read the Bible, I say my affirmations, and yet nothing seems to move." I recognize that voice, not of laziness, not of rebellion, but of misalignment. And so I invited her to come speak with me, not to judge her, but to trace the seed. Her name was Miriam. She was intelligent, generous, disciplined. By all outer appearances, she deserved a prosperous life. She worked hard, studied metaphysics, quoted scripture, and wrote out affirmations on the mirror. But when we sat down, I did not ask her how much she prayed or how much she worked. I asked her one question. What do you say to yourself when the check is late? What is the first sentence that crosses your mind when a bill arrives or a door closes? She hesitated, then said softly, "I usually say things like, figures, or it's always something, or why does this keep happening?" I looked her in the eyes and said with quiet authority, "That is the seed." She looked at me confused, so I continued, "You have been faithful. But you have been faithful to the wrong word. You have been watering weeds while hoping for roses." You see, she did not realize that the law does not discriminate between conscious and unconscious declarations. The field does not care if you spoke it in frustration or intention. It only obeys the tone and the rhythm. The subconscious is not romantic, it is obedient. And so her field had no choice but to bring forth exactly what she had rehearsed, again and again and again. Her affirmations were brief, careful, once or twice a day. Her complaints, however, were rhythmic. She spoke them while brushing her teeth, folding her laundry, walking through the store, sighing at her inbox. And under spiritual law, the dominant seed always wins. Most people do not fail because they lack belief. They fail because they speak from two directions. They declare truth once, then rehearse fear a dozen times. They quote scripture in the morning, then gossip by midday. They affirm wealth in front of others, but whisper doubt in their beds. And the field, being exact, becomes confused. It mirrors contradiction. It reflects double-mindedness. And the Bible has already told us, "Let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord." I told Miriam, "You are not cursed, you are simply misaligned. Your words do not agree with your truth." And she wept, not out of guilt, but because she finally saw it. She had never meant to sow lack. But intention is not law. Instruction is law. And until your words align with your vision, your harvest will remain tangled. It is not enough to want wealth. You must speak wealth. You must declare it so precisely, so rhythmically, that your subconscious cannot argue. You must become so loyal to your command that even the old voices in your bloodline lose their authority. And that is what Miriam had to do. She had to take back her mouth. She had to become a steward of her speech. She had to break the habit of agreeing with circumstances and instead speak the law, even when it looked like nothing was happening. And that, my dear listener, is where most give up. They think the moment the words leave their mouth, the fruit must appear. But in the realm of law, the word is the cause. The harvest is the result. There is always seed time and harvest. And that time is not punishment, it is proof. Proof of whether you will hold the decree without wavering. Proof of whether you will stand on your spoken word even when appearances scream otherwise. And this is where most cancel their command. They pray in the morning, doubt by noon, and call it spiritual warfare. But I say unto you, the war is not with God. The war is between your word and your worry. I gave Miriam one instruction, to choose one sentence that would become her new spiritual root system. One phrase that she could say in rhythm, not emotion. She chose, my harvest is secure, my ground is holy, my seed is blessed. I told her, this is not a sentence. It is a vibration. It is not a wish, it is a law. And if you speak it as law, your soil will respond. She said it when she rose. She said it while tying her shoes. She said it brushing her hair. She said it before reading her bank statement. She said it instead of sighing. She said it instead of guessing. She said it instead of fear. And day by day, the weeds began to wither. Her vocabulary shifted. Her posture changed. Her field, once confused, began to stabilize. Now hear me well. At first, nothing changed on the surface. The bills still came. The inbox was still quiet. The clients were still hesitant. But she kept speaking, not because she saw results, but because she now understood law. The field does not obey when it sees change. The field obeys when it hears consistency. Law does not reward emotion. Law rewards alignment. Within 1 week, a client who had ghosted her for over a year reached out and paid in full. A debt that had lingered was cleared. A door she had once pushed on reopened on its own. Not because she begged, not because she hustled, but because she planted and did not stop. The law is not slow, it is precise. It waits for full rhythm. And once the rhythm is clear, the manifestation is automatic. She had to learn what many of you are learning now, that faith is not a feeling. Faith is obedience to vibration. Faith is not what you say when it's easy. Faith is what you repeat when nothing seems to move. And it is in those moments that the old garden dies and the new harvest begins. You see, Miriam's story is not rare. It is holy. It is yours. You may not have known the law until now. You may not have recognized your own rhythm. But once you know, you are responsible, and responsibility is not punishment. It is power. You now hold the wand. You now carry the seed. You now speak as the sower, and the field is listening. So I ask you plainly, what sentence have you been loyal to? What do you say more often than you pray? What words do you speak out of habit that no longer serve your increase? Are you still echoing your father's beliefs about money? Are you still repeating your mother's worries about provision? Are you still clinging to cultural confessions that speak of lack, as if it were a badge of honor? Then let this be the moment you uproot them. Let this be the moment you choose your new seed. Let this be the moment you say, I no longer plant weeds. I no longer speak confusion. I no longer surrender my field to phrases that contradict my inheritance. For your inheritance is not theoretical, it is lawful. And the only thing that stands between you and your visible harvest is the rhythm of your tongue. When the tongue aligns, the gates open. When the gates open, the wealth flows. Not because you earned it, but because you aligned with it. And so I say again, in rhythm and in law, your field is not delayed. It is simply waiting for clear instruction. Speak with rhythm, declare with force, hold the word, and the field will obey. Miriam did not need more motivation. She did not need another book, another workshop, another prophetic promise. She simply needed a new rhythm. And once she found it, everything began to obey her. Not because the world changed overnight, but because she stopped speaking against her own field. I told her the truth I have told so many. It is not the intensity of your declaration that changes your life. It is the rhythm. Spiritual law does not move because you cry. It does not shift because you fast. It does not bend to your frustration. It only responds to clarity. And clarity, in the realm of manifestation, means consistent sound. One word, held and repeated, holds more power than 1,000 declarations spoken once and forgotten. And that is why most people get confused. They think manifestation requires effort, emotion, strain. But divine creation is not activated by strain. It is activated by rhythm. This is why heaven moves in cycles. The sun does not rise once and rest. It rises daily, faithfully, without doubt. The ocean does not move at random. It responds to lunar rhythm, not emotional weather. The seasons do not ask if you're ready. They obey the appointed flow. And so too must your words. For your words are not poetry. They are instruments in a divine orchestra. And if you speak off-key, your harvest comes out distorted. Miriam's first victory was not money in her account. It was silence in her mind. The voices that once said, "It's always something," began to fade. The familiar anxiety that lived in her morning routine began to dissolve. Not because she fought it, but because she replaced it. I have said this before and I say it again. You do not uproot weeds with willpower. You uproot them with rhythm. A lie cannot survive in the presence of a spoken truth, if the truth is spoken long enough. So she continued, "My harvest is secure. My ground is holy. My seed is blessed." She said it without performance. She said it without checking results. She said it while folding laundry. She said it walking into rooms where she used to feel fear. She said it instead of sighing. She said it instead of wondering. And slowly, the field remembered who she was, because she had remembered. And memory, in the spiritual realm, is not intellectual. It is vibrational. When you remember your identity, the field remembers its duty. Miriam was not blessed because she was lucky. She was blessed because she synchronized. She stepped into the divine pattern of creation. Speak, repeat, expect. This is the rhythm of heaven. And this is what most believers forget. They want fruit without root. They want harvest without heat. They want manifestation without the discomfort of mastering one sentence. But mastery begins where distraction ends. When you choose one decree, one rhythm, one spiritual frequency, and refuse to leave it, then the field shifts. Let me say this plainly. Your harvest is not coming because you're desperate. Your harvest is coming because you are now consistent. And consistency is proof of belief. You may say, "But I've said the right things before." And I ask you, did you say them once? Or did you say them until the vibration overtook the old rhythm? For it is not saying that changes things, it is repeating. I've known people who spoke abundance for 10 minutes and then spent the rest of the day narrating scarcity. And they wonder why the field yields confusion. But the law is not confused. It's just obedient. It heard your rhythm, not your request. It measured your frequency, not your frustration. You do not plant one rose and expect a garden. You do not water once and expect a harvest. You do not say one sentence on Monday and expect reversal on Tuesday. You speak until the vibration becomes identity, and once the identity is stabilized, the form appears. That is what Miriam discovered. She stopped being surprised by small miracles and started expecting flow. And the moment she shifted from hoping to holding, the supply became steady, not because of new opportunities, but because of new order. I told her, "You are not just trying to get money, you are reordering spiritual architecture. And architecture does not shift by suggestion, it shifts by structure. And your daily declaration is that structure." Let me make this very clear. When you speak the same truth daily, faithfully, reverently, you are not wasting time. You are building vibration. You are building the spiritual scaffolding that will hold your prosperity. And even when it looks like nothing is happening, the field is rearranging itself beneath the surface. The seed never lies. The soil never forgets. The command never returns void. But you must hold the rhythm. If you drop it too early, a harvest is aborted. If you declare inconsistently, the fruit becomes unstable. If you treat your word like a suggestion, the law treats your request as undecided. Miriam chose differently, and her life followed. She did not wait to see if it worked. She worked the word until it could no longer not work. That is dominion. That is spiritual governance. And that is what you are now called to step into. So I ask you, what is your sentence? What phrase will become your rhythm? What decree will become your spiritual spine, your anchor, your inner song? It does not need to impress anyone. It does not need to be poetic. It only needs to be true, repeated, and yours. Once chosen, it must be honored, spoken without fail, protected from sarcasm, guarded from contradiction. You do not explain it, you do not negotiate it, you do not adjust it based on the weather of your emotions. You speak it, and the field obeys. This is not motivational speech. This is metaphysical law. And the law is not optional, it is operational. Whether you know it or not, the rhythm is already shaping your life. The question is, whose rhythm are you in agreement with? The voice of fear, which has spoken for generations? Or the voice of divine rhythm, which waits patiently for your agreement? Let me say it again. The rhythm rewrites the field. And if your field has been barren, it is not because God has failed you. It is because you have spoken contradiction. But the moment you break that agreement, the moment you step into spiritual rhythm, the reversal begins. You do not need to feel it. You only need to say it, until saying it feels like remembering. So speak now, not to prove to others, not to test the field, but to plant a new law. Choose your decree. Say it aloud. Say it daily. Say it with reverence. For the ground is listening. And the vibration you hold will soon become the life you live. Let me tell you plainly, there is no such thing as a harmless phrase. Every sentence you speak is either a builder or a breaker, a seed or a thorn, a command or a confusion. The law does not filter your language through intention. It reads it through instruction. And every word, no matter how casually it slips through your lips, enters the soil and begins its work. Most people speak as if their words vanish into the air. But in truth, your words become the very scaffolding of your reality. You are never joking. You are never just venting. You are never just expressing. You are always creating. And so when you say, "I'm always broke," the soil receives it. When you murmur, It never works for me. The vibration registers. When you laugh and say, "That's too much for people like me," the subconscious records it, not as humor, but as decree. And then you wonder why the harvest is thin. But I tell you, the field has simply obeyed its master. You have not been cursed by life. You have been cursed by casual language. And this is not superstition. It is spiritual law. I have watched people cancel their harvest with their own mouth. I have watched students declare, "I am abundant in the morning," only to say, "I can't afford that by lunchtime." I have seen women decree prosperity on Sundays, then agree with generational struggle every time they speak with their family. And I have seen how quickly the field shifts, not based on their intention, but based on their repetition. The subconscious is not poetic. It does not hear context. It does not read tone. It only registers vibration. And vibration in the realm of law becomes the creative blueprint for form. This is why sarcasm is dangerous. This is why defeatist humor is costly. This is why every phrase, every exhale, every muttered line must be examined, not as a moment of self-expression, but as a moment of spiritual instruction. You say, "But I didn't mean it." The law does not care. You say, "It was just a bad day." The soil does not differentiate. You say, "It was only a joke." The field does not laugh. You are not speaking to people. You are speaking to principle. And principle is exact. It receives, records, and returns. I call this the curse of casual language, and it is the silent destroyer of harvest. It is the reason so many pray fervently, but manifest sparingly, because their subconscious is saturated with contradiction. They speak truth with lips, but fear with tone. They declare abundance with one sentence, but water scarcity with 100 idle ones. And the ground, obedient as ever, brings forth after its kind. What do you say when no one's watching? What phrases do you repeat when you're tired, when you're scrolling, when you're on the phone with a friend? Do you describe your bills with dread? Do you speak of never getting ahead? Do you echo the phrases your parents said, your teachers said, your culture said? Money doesn't grow on trees. That's too expensive. One day, maybe. These are not innocent. These are incantations, and if you do not uproot them, they will become permanent architecture in your field. I say this with urgency. Stop giving your power to vocabulary that violates your vision. Stop allowing language from your past to narrate your future. Stop speaking as if the law is deaf. The law is not deaf. It is listening always, and it is loyal to your dominant tone, not your silent hope. There is no such thing as a neutral sentence. There are no harmless murmurs. Even the phrases you whisper to yourself in frustration, figures. That's just my luck. Of course it happened again. These are seeds. These are laws. These are blueprints. And what you repeat most often becomes the rhythm of your field. If you do not monitor your language, your harvest will be hijacked by old confessions. And many of those confessions are not even yours. They were inherited. They were absorbed. They were passed down like family heirlooms. You heard your mother say it. You heard your father worry it. You heard your culture normalize it. And now your subconscious is loyal to a belief you never chose. But you can choose now. You can end the spell. You can override the rhythm. You can declare a new sound until the old one has no more ground to stand on. And that begins with discipline. Not dramatic declarations, but holy repetition. Not shouting over the weeds, but refusing to water them. You must become the guardian of your garden. You must place a watch at the gate of your mouth. You must examine every word before it enters the field. And you must ask, does this sentence serve my seed? If it does, speak it. If it does not, destroy it. For every word has weight, and nothing leaves your lips without consequence. The most dangerous language is not violent, it is casual. The most powerful spell is not the one chanted, but the one repeated unconsciously. You do not need intensity to shape your life. You need rhythm. And most people have given rhythm to their fear. So I ask you now, what phrases live in your mouth? What lines do you say without thinking? What confessions have become so habitual that they feel like facts? These are your real beliefs, not the affirmations you post, but the phrases you repeat in silence. And those are the beliefs the law must obey. Let us be clear, you are not punished for your casual language, but you are mirrored by it. And in the realm of divine law, the mirror is merciless. It gives you what you are loyal to. It returns what you speak most often. It amplifies what you whisper in passing. It remembers what you forget. So if you want new fruit, speak new root. If you want a different harvest, you must dismantle your vocabulary. Not someday. Now. Sit with yourself. Hear yourself. Record the phrases that have followed you for years. The complaints you disguise as honesty. The jokes you think are safe. The fears you've turned into slogans. And once you see them clearly, do not explain them. Uproot them. You are not a prisoner of your past words, but you are their product until you choose otherwise. And that choice is made sentence by sentence, law by law, rhythm by rhythm. This is the work of the true sower, not just planting good seed, but refusing to feed the weeds. You cannot say, I am wealthy, and then smile at I'm broke jokes. You cannot decree increase while agreeing with delay. You cannot want Eden while still rehearsing Egypt. You must choose your language with the same precision as you choose your future. And so I say to you now, break the curse of casual speech. Place holy fire on your lips. Let nothing pass through your mouth unless it serves your vision. For the field is not judging you, it is mirroring you. And the moment your language becomes law, the harvest must obey. There are 7 principles that govern all wealth. Not by opinion, but by law. Not by effort, but by alignment. And I must make this clear before we speak even one of them. They are not passive. They are not suggestions. They are not mantras to repeat when you feel good. They are living seeds. And if you speak them rightly, they will rewire your field. You are not here to study these laws. You are here to activate them. For a principle that is not declared is a gate that remains closed, and heaven will not override your silence. I have seen it 1,000 times. People pray for prosperity but reject its patterns. They ask for supply but do not speak supply. They want Eden while still rehearsing Egypt. But now you will choose differently. You will speak differently. You will move in divine order. Not hope, not theory, but law. Let us begin. Law 1. Right word. Nothing happens until the word is spoken. Nothing moves until the command is given. The field does not guess what you want, it mirrors what you say. And many of you are praying for wealth while speaking like you're broke. You say, I'm trying, and the law answers, so shall you try. You say, I can't afford that, and the law replies, so shall you lack. You speak limitation, then ask for increase. And that is spiritual contradiction. Right word means this: you do not let anything exit your mouth unless it serves your garden. You do not repeat scarcity to relate to others. You do not echo cultural complaint. You do not use sarcasm as disguise. You speak only that which builds, blesses, and births increase. It does not matter what you feel, it matters what you say. Because in the realm of vibration, speech becomes architecture. And even if your emotions tremble, if your word is stable, the structure will hold. Say it now. I now speak the word of increase. My voice waters the field of abundance. I do not narrate what is. I command what shall be. Law 2, right image. The subconscious cannot outgrow the image it holds. If you see yourself struggling, the field must obey, even if your words are correct. For many of you, your voice says abundance, but your imagination still hosts eviction notices. You picture denial. You prepare for disappointment. You imagine the worst, so you won't be surprised. And that is the very spell that keeps you small. Right image is not wishful thinking. It is spiritual instruction. When you close your eyes, you are speaking to the unseen. And if the unseen still sees you as unworthy, unstable, or unseen, then your harvest cannot form. You must walk the halls of your imagination as one who has already chosen. See your table full. See your debts dissolved. See your field gold with grain, not thorns. See your harvest circling like a hawk, ready to descend. The law does not follow fear. It follows formation. Say it now. I picture only divine fullness. My inner image is sacred land, and I plant only gold. Law 3, right expectancy. Expectation is spiritual gravity. It is not hope. It is not vague optimism. It is the vibration that pulls the invisible into form. And it is where most people cancel their blessing. You expect it to take long. You expect the door to close. You expect the bill to surprise you. You expect the client to ghost you. And because the field hears what you prepare for, not what you prefer, it obeys your inner rehearsal. Right expectancy means this: you train your nervous system to assume the harvest. You wake up not wondering if, but anchoring into when. You do not brace for loss. You brace for delivery. Just as the earth braces for spring. This is not mental trickery. This is divine technology. Say it now. My good arrives on time. My field does not delay. My expectancy pulls the harvest forward. Law 4. Right rhythm. One declaration is not enough. One powerful prayer is not enough. Heaven is not moved by intensity. It is moved by rhythm. All divine order flows in cycles, sunrise, tides, breath, and so must your word. You cannot plant on Monday, dig up the seed on Tuesday, and beg for fruit by Friday. You must speak until the seed roots. You must declare until the subconscious bows. You must hold one sentence so consistently that the soil cannot do anything but obey. This is the law of repetition, and it is not bondage. It is freedom. Right rhythm is how you train the field to trust you. If you speak the same truth every morning, the gate opens. If you break the pattern with doubt, the gate halts. Rhythm is not loud, it is loyal. Say it now. I walk in divine rhythm. My word is not random, it is law. I plant and water with consistency, and my harvest must respond. Law 5. Right giving. You cannot receive what you do not circulate, and most people block their wealth not with greed, but with fear. They hold tightly, they postpone generosity, they give reluctantly, and then ask why the flow feels dry. But the law is simple: what you send expands. Right giving is not about how much, it's about vibration. You give like a rich person. You give as one who trusts the invisible. You give not to impress God, but to prove to your subconscious that you do not believe in lack. Giving is not subtraction. It is multiplication disguised as obedience. Say it now. I give freely from overflow. I sow like one who never fears the drought. My hand is open, my flow is constant, my field is fertile. Law 6. Right reception. Many of you can give, but you do not know how to receive. You deflect compliments, you minimize blessing, you say this is too much, and the law records it as she isn't ready. You say, "It's okay, I'm fine," and heaven closes the gate you decline to walk through. Right reception is holy. It is the act of opening the vessel to what you once prayed for, and you do it without guilt, without apology, without shrinking. You receive boldly because you are not receiving from man. You are receiving from law. Your job is not to explain your increase. Your job is to hold it. Say it now. I receive fully. I do not reject what is mine. I carry wealth with grace, with joy, with divine permission. Law 7. Right identity. This is the root of all other laws. If you see yourself as unworthy, no amount of giving or speaking will hold. You are not a beggar. You are not someone trying to manifest. You are the divine sower, the child of Source, the one who carries heaven's decree in your voice. Right identity is the alignment that makes all other laws legal. When you identify as royalty, your field cannot deliver thorns. When you see yourself as chosen, your harvest cannot arrive late. The law will never give to a consciousness that refuses to recognize its throne. You must speak from the seat of your dominion, not from pain, not from past, not from projection, but from divine remembrance. Say it now. I am the rich child of a loving Creator. I am not trying, I am aligned. I do not qualify, I carry the seal. My name is written in overflow. These are not ideas. They are weapons, they are maps, they are fire. And you must not merely agree with them. You must become them. The field will not respond to occasional repetition. It will respond to rhythm, to consistency, to tone. And the more you speak these laws, the more your life must bend. For the law does not bless intensity, it blesses instruction, and your word is that instruction. Hold them, speak them, guard them, for they are your new system. And the moment you say them in full dominion, the field will shift, not because you begged, but because you planted. You have waited long enough. You have cried long enough. You have watched others rise while asking, "When is it my time?" But I say unto you with no hesitation, your time is not delayed. It is only unsaid. Your harvest is not locked. It is only unspoken. You do not need another door. You need another decree. You do not need a shift in season. You need a shift in speech. You do not need a new blessing. You need a new sentence. For the moment you align your words with divine law, the atmosphere must obey. It is not emotion that triggers the soil. It is not desire that cracks the sky. It is instruction. And the instruction has always been waiting for your voice to grow up. You keep asking, "Where is my increase?" But I ask you, where is your sentence? You keep crying, "I've been faithful." But I ask, have you spoken lawfully, rhythmically, relentlessly? The field is not blind. The soil is not deaf. It is only structured by what you allow to pass through your mouth. The time of delay ends the moment your vocabulary comes into order. And I say this in love. Stop rehearsing your pain like it is truth. Stop describing your struggle like it is sacred. Stop calling your history a prophecy. You are not who you were. You are not what they said. You are not your accounts, your past mistakes, or your missed timing. You are soil. You are legal ground. You are the vessel through which divine wealth flows, not because you chase it, but because you command it. And the only thing the field cannot resist is a word spoken in rhythm, in dominion, and in full agreement with heaven. So I ask you now, not to wish, not to whisper, but to decree. Not as performance, as planting. Say this with the full weight of your inheritance. I plant the word. I water with praise. I reap with joy. Say it again. I plant the word. I water with praise. I reap with joy. Say it until the vibration overrides the old memory. I plant the word. I water with praise. I reap with joy. You do not chase supply, you create alignment. You do not wait for others to recognize you. You recognize yourself. You do not repeat lack, you echo law. Speak this: I do not beg for what is mine. I speak it, I expect it, I receive it. I bless my ground, I protect my seed, I no longer feed the weeds. Every old phrase is now broken. Every wrong word is now uprooted. Every idle thought is now cast out. You are no longer praying from the ground. You are commanding from the throne. And every time you repeat this new sentence, you rewrite the vibration under your feet. Let me say this clearly. You are not waiting on your good. Your good is waiting on your voice to match your vision. You are not denied. You are simply undefined. But the moment your mouth takes shape, your life follows. The law is loyal to speech. The field is loyal to tone. And heaven is loyal to authority. So speak like one who owns the land. Decree like one who holds the title. Call forth what is already yours. Not with desperation, but with direction. Declare it now. I do not count what I lack, I multiply what I carry. I do not fear delay, I move in divine rhythm. My ground is ready, my seed is alive, my words never return void. Let this sentence become your new season. Let it be your root, let it be your crown. Let it be the dividing line between the old confusion and the new command. Say it again. And this time, say it as if the field is listening. I now plant the 7 laws of wealth. My harvest is certain. Because it is. Because you are. Because heaven never asked you to wait. It only asked you to speak. You have now planted. Not by accident, not by chance, but by divine instruction. You have spoken with rhythm, with law, with dominion. And I tell you, your field has heard you. The ground is not confused. The soil is not waiting on permission. Heaven is not negotiating. The decree has been made, and what you have spoken in alignment must now obey you. There will be those who hear this and still wait, still wonder, still whisper prayers of uncertainty as if heaven did not record what was already said. But I say unto you, the moment the word was planted rightly, the harvest became inevitable. Do not ask again. Do not question again. Do not repeat from fear what was already declared from faith. This is the hour where your authority is sealed not by repetition but by rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is confidence. Rest is rhythm. The lilies do not toil. The sparrows do not strive. Why? Because they are in rhythm with the law. And so must you be. Speak once in truth, and then rest as one who knows. You are not striving anymore. You are not chasing. You are not fixing the field. You are now the master gardener. And the gardener does not beg the seed to grow. She knows it will. She waters it not with panic, but with praise. And so I tell you, the days of speaking one thing and believing another are over. The season of double-mindedness has ended. You do not get to call lack and expect prosperity. You do not get to curse the ground and expect roses. You do not get to describe drought and pray for rain. The law does not function on confusion. It functions on clarity. What have you just done? You have chosen clarity. You have spoken the 7 principles, not as poetry, not as performance, but as prophecy. You have turned your mouth into a holy instrument. You have tuned your language to the rhythm of heaven. You have cast your seed, not into chaos, but into covenant. And covenant never returns void. But now you must guard it. Now you must protect what you've planted. For the moment the word is sown, the old thoughts will try to dig it up. The ancestral phrases, the cultural murmurs, the casual doubts. Let's be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. What if it doesn't work? These are the crows of consciousness. and they come not to test your worth, but to test your consistency. You must choose again and again. Do I repeat the word of God or the word of fear? Do I echo the law or the lie? Do I bow to vibration or appearance? And every time you choose to repeat the decree without panic, without apology, without explanation, you sanctify the ground. You water the seed. You multiply the fruit. People will ask you, how did it change? And you will not answer with effort. You will answer with rhythm. I spoke. I aligned. I waited in faith. I watered with praise. I did not flinch when fear knocked. I did not uproot what I had planted. That is the formula. That is the order. That is the miracle. The world will tell you you must prove yourself, you must earn, you must hustle, but heaven does not move through sweat. It moves through spiritual precision. You do not get paid by panic, you get paid by posture. And posture is the stance of one who knows. It is done because I have spoken. It is mine because I have planted. It is coming because I am aligned. You do not need to chase what belongs to you. You only need to speak like it already does. The gates are open. The soil is fertile. The law is listening, and your job, your only job, is to continue in rhythm. That is how Miriam changed. That is how every principle works. Not through performance, but through pattern. The old you, the one who begged, who doubted, who rehearsed poverty, is gone. She died when the truth entered your spirit. She withered when you cast the old phrases out of your mouth. You are not confused anymore. You are not hoping. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Your voice is the signal. Your rhythm is the rain. Let every thought now be filtered through the question, does this feed the harvest? Let every phrase now be weighed by the law. Is this sowing or is this scattering? Let every declaration be sealed not by doubt, but by devotion. You are no longer allowed to say, I don't know what to do. You do. Speak. You are no longer allowed to say, it's too late. It isn't. Plant. You are no longer allowed to say, maybe one day. That day is now. The only delay that ever existed was the absence of instruction. But the instruction has been given, and the ground has recorded it. You do not need to ask for confirmation. The confirmation is already in motion. You do not need to repeat from fear. You repeat from rhythm. And rhythm is not begging. Rhythm is dominion. Rhythm is remembering. Rhythm is rest. So now I say this as your final decree, your covenantal signature, your banner over the new field of your life. I am the sower. I am the mouth. I am the field. I plant with law. I water with praise. I reap with joy. The seed is already growing. The wealth is already mine. The harvest has already heard me. Do not wait for the proof. You are the proof. Do not seek the evidence. You are the evidence. Your life is the field of divine speech, and it is blooming even now. Walk as one who knows. Speak as one who rules. Reap as one who never doubted the power of the word, because you never needed more time. You only needed to plant. And now you have.